Let me know when you're ready. Did you want to just let those guys go downstairs, or? I mean, yes, some. I don't know how much. I just okay. Okay, just let me know when you're ready to. Okay. Okay, we're going to go live. You guys may have to work your mics a little closer just to be able to hear yourselves. I don't know, but
So you can turn the gain down a little bit if you need to.
okay,
Keep that
we're live.
background. Welcome to the City Advertising and Promotion Workshop for June the 8th at 5 p.m. in the auditorium. Okay. First point is Auditorium Expo.
Before we start that, can I
Sure.
give you guys a little update on something I've been working on with Paradise? So I think I've mentioned this a couple of times over the last couple of months. Paradise and I are working on a partner program. We're really excited about it. So I just wanted to give you a little update. This started because since I've been here, I've met with quite a few partners. Paradise has been in market a few times. I've met with quite a few partners. And throughout that process, we've identified gaps and areas where we could improve with our partnership. So through those, we've identified a few things that we want to work. We have some goals we want to work on. We think that these will positively impact the visitor economy, which is our primary focus, of course. But it'll also enhance and strengthen our relationship with our partners, which is what we always want to be doing. So this will be a strategic priority this year and the upcoming years. We'll do this yearly. Here's our goals, just so you guys know. It is to enhance and expand the value the CAPC offers our partners, stakeholders, and community members. That's goal number 1. And then goal number 2 is to become the tourism leader within the Eureka Springs community. So over the next couple of months, Paradise and I will refine this plan. We're also going to deploy a survey to our partner list within the next couple of months, where we're going to ask them to learn more about how we can enhance our value from their point of view. So we'll send out kind of like a little, you'll fill it out as a tax collector / stakeholder. So just want to let you guys know about that. I'll continue to provide progress updates to you guys throughout the meetings, and then whenever we roll it out, I'll let you guys know, so you'll have it. So just a small little update there, so you know what I've got going on.
So that's going to be to lodgings and restaurants and bars.
Yeah, so, I think we talked about this a little bit, maybe last month. It could be a photography co-op, right? We could maybe possibly pay for, the CAPC could possibly pay, let's say, a photographer or a photography company to come in and do photography for businesses. And it could be a co-op, right, or tiered. So the CAPC would pay for, maybe half, 75% or something like that. And then you can opt in to do it. And then that way you'd have, let's say, 5 edited images that are professional quality for your business. So it could be something like that. It could also be a seminar / webinar on why it's important to have a good Facebook presence, or what do you want your consumer-faced website to look like as a restaurant or a lodging. Just things like educational and things like that. So we're excited, and the more details I have as we go along, I'll share them with you guys.
And I should take just a moment to apologize to you. And there was a question that came up in the community about how we hire people to do, say, something like that co-op. And I had misunderstood how we do that. My understanding is that a lot of times when we use photographs, they are sort of like stock photographs, but we purchase them. Through Paradise, but we give credit to whoever that photograph was taken by.
So that's not typically always the case. What actually happens is, like let's take a photo on our Facebook, for example. So our social media assets are crowdsourced. So we have a platform called CrowdRiff, and if anyone is in the destination, or anywhere really, it's not regional, it's more about hashtags and tagging. So if they hashtag Eureka Springs, Arkansas, or Eureka Springs, or whatever we're watching, or they tag our page, CrowdRiff is a platform where it shows us all of those photos that we've been tagged, or we're watching those hashtags, right? So if you take a picture right now, and then you put hashtag Eureka Springs, it would show up on our CrowdRiff platform. Molly monitors it, and so do some of our representatives at Paradise. And what happens is, if we see that, right, it's a really beautiful picture of the rainbow stairs, and we would like to use that as a social media asset on our Instagram. We, through CrowdRiff, send them a message on, let's say they posted it on their Instagram, they would get that message, and it just says, hey, we love this picture, can we please use it on our social media, and we'll give you credit. And so they almost always say yes. And then that's how we get all of those assets. So actually, most of the social media photos aren't paid for.
Got it.
They're organic content.
I and other people in the community, I think, had misunderstood it, that we had been purchasing these, and I wanted to make it clear on air that we do RFPs in town.
Sure.
When we do hire locally, because that's important to us.
Yeah,
And
our quarter 4 campaign, we hired a local photographer.
Right.
That we use on all of it's been across our blogs, our social media, our website. So, yeah, I mean, we do, and we will continue to do that. We haven't this year so far, but when we do some more campaigns later on in the year, we'll probably send out another RFP for that.
That's great. Okay, so the ones that happen to be through that service or those services, generally we don't have to pay for, but we do give them credit.
Yeah, we'll always give credit on our Facebook or on our Instagram if we, it'd be the same thing as if I posted a photo and someone asked me to use their photo, they just tag my social media on
Okay,
there. So,
great,
yeah,
great.
most of our content is organic, and so that's how the process works.
Okay.
Well, I think to Carol's point, I've gotten a lot of messages as well, people more upset that we're not using more of our local base for our photography. I totally get just content and pushing it out there, but I think we also need to kind of keep them happy on the same side. People are kind of angry about it.
But we've not hired any photographers at all outside of local photographers, right, out of our
Yeah,
office.
since I've been
But
here.
it's not about hiring, I think. It's more like if you're going to repost, then repost one of our people. I think that's their argument, is what I'm saying.
So, just to reiterate, we're not really reposting any posts. So,
But you're using other people's pictures that they have posted for your post.
and also typically, they're not necessarily even photographers. They can be just a tourist.
Right.
So they're organic content, and that's what all of our forward-facing social media assets are. That's kind of our brand, is this organic content. So as a tourist, right, I look at our Instagram and it's really aesthetically pleasing, right? And it feels really genuine because these are other tourists there. And so typically it's not even professional photographers. I know there's a post recently where it was, but most
That's what I'm
often
just
it's
trying
really,
to
yeah,
bring
most-
to light and
Yeah.
just have it mentioned.
most often, it's usually you or anyone just
Yeah.
going into a DMO. I mean, just as a tourist.
Yeah.
So, it's really about our brand and how we do that. Now, to Jeff's point, when we have paid for, since I've been here, when we have paid for photography, it actually has been a local photographer. And we use those all the time and we love them. So it's more of a, in my preference is that I would rather pay for an entire photo shoot and then we have full rights to all of those photos. So like what we did in Q4, it just works out better for us in the office, I think, and better for us to use on our social media. So my preference is not to pay for individual photos that have already been taken. I'd rather pay for a photo shoot to be done, and that's what we've done. And what I would like to do more, it's a bit of an undertaking, but we liked it. We had a great time when we did it. But just to make sure we're all on the same page, that's how our social media assets are found and used. So, but I understand.
One of the things that locals need to understand that if you want your picture to be picked up and reposted, you actually have to tag Eureka Springs. So they need to make sure that they're using the hashtag and that they're actually tagging so that CrowdGriff can find them.
Yeah, so
That's how they find them.
we don't scour Instagram and look for hashtags. We use this platform.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's how that works.
And that's what our ad campaign is right now. I mean, this is something that was planned, it was something that was discussed, it was something that has always been the way that things were going to be. That doesn't mean it has to be that way in the future. Now that we're hearing these people, I mean, it's up to us and Madison and Molly and everyone in the office to talk to the ad agency and say, hey, you know what, next year, instead of doing crowdsourcing, instead of doing, CrowdRiff and pulling these assets, because one of the reasons that we have been doing crowdsourcing with CrowdRiff is because the SEO is excellent. The click-throughs, the cross-referencing, it's all there. It's all embedded because these people have already posted this picture, tagged with Eureka Springs. It's gone through this. 17,000 people have shared it or viewed it, and then we pull it, and we've got that same image that has all those same tags on it, using it for our advertising. We didn't pay those people, but we gave them credit. That's one of the reasons that the crowdsourcing is such a neat idea at the time that we're doing it right now. In the future, maybe we re-gear and change, and maybe next year's social media is all about local content.
I completely understand, and I totally agree with the platform itself and doing it the way you're doing it, but I think we just all have to be cautious of how it's presented to the community, because
It was presented to the community, and they had an opportunity to talk about it. They could have come to the presentations. I had a conversation with one of them, and that point never seemed, I just could not get that point across. I don't understand why. Trying to just educate you know, we discussed all of this in pre-planning meetings, presentations from the ad agency, and it's an education issue, really.
Well, it is, and I frankly didn't understand it. I probably didn't understand.
And a lot of people may not have
Yeah.
understood.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
and I
I
think,
agree.
you know, it's more a misunderstanding, but it's also important to make sure that we're listening to people in the community.
Yeah.
Well, I think all of this, what was said today, was informational and
Very
good
good.
for people to hear and understand.
Yeah.
Well, and also
Because-
something to think about too with, we're just talking, the people are just talking about the social media aspect of this because it's what they see.
That's what they see.
In advertising land, if you see ads for your town, then there's a failure going on. So most people aren't seeing the stuff that's being portrayed outside in the you know, the regional and national arena, because you don't want your own you don't want to see your own advertising. You don't want to hear it on the radio. You don't. You've failed if you do. So if you think
Come to
about
Eureka
it.
Springs, well, I'm already here.
Exactly. And think about that's what these people are going on, and that's the only information they have. It's not that they're at fault in any way, shape, or form. Everyone I've talked to are wonderful, professional people, and yeah, I would love to use a lot of their content. Richard Quick is an amazing photographer
Yes.
in Eureka Springs. Melody as well. I don't know as many of the others by name, but I would love to utilize their content more. One of the things that's kind of a scary thing that happens when you're in marketing is you want to hedge your bets. You don't. I've gone down this road before. I did a campaign for a botanical garden back in 2003, 2004, and I decided to use all local photography, and they flaked out. They didn't follow through, and I was left going out and shooting almost everything I could myself just to keep up. And it was a panic. It was a total panic. And sometimes the thing that you want is you want to get content that you can count on, at least to get your campaign going and get it up and running and get it out there. And the crowd riff was just such a neat way to do that. But it was also something that we had already purchased early on in 2020, 2021. It was something that we had implemented and were using, so why not use it? Because the numbers are there, the analytics are there. But next year, you know, this is good information, because I think that if we let these people know that we're listening and that we can pivot and try to find a solution, I would love to use more content, local content, for sure.
Great.
Okay, so let's move on.
Sorry.
So this workshop is primarily about marketing and about fourth quarter marketing and about the auditorium and some other stuff. So let's just start with number one, auditorium expos. The auditorium, if you guys haven't had a chance to go downstairs, be very careful if you do. You can go in on First Street. They're actually, the construction that we've been hearing is they're rebuilding the stairs that go down in the auditorium, because there was no landing, as you guys know. You open the door and it was stairs. So they're building a landing there to make those up to code and safe. So there's no stairs to go in this way. But you can go into the elevator, and the elevator is working, correct?
Yep,
And it's
inspected and ready.
It's inspected and ready. So
Yay.
so that's done, and you guys can go check out. The walls are built and have sheetrock on them. It really makes the space completely different. You really need to take a look at that. So leading into that, the reason why we're doing all that is because we want to do more stuff down there. So I'll let you talk about expos.
So what I would like to do, the staff and I have come up with, we brainstormed a little bit of what we think we want to start out using the auditorium for in regards to expos. So I'd like to give you my breakdown, our few ideas that we had, and then what I would like is for you guys to give me your input and what you think we could do based off of these four, and also if you have any other expos you think that would work well. So this is your second page. I also, Patrick, oh, you have a pen, okay. If you guys will write notes, I would love to have them. So if you have ideas, whatever, I'm kind of treating this more like a brainstorming session than anything else. So, you know, we just kind of started talking about what's that, you know, when you think of expos in Eureka Springs, that space down there, what's really the first thing that you think of, in my opinion, is wedding. I think that we have quite a few, obviously, venues, caterers, photographers, you know, things like that. So I'd like to have a wedding expo. I
Crazy,
think,
the very first thing that pops into my head is roller disco. I don't know why. Sounds like fun. But no, sorry.
so typically wedding expos are in January or February. That's because everybody gets engaged over the holidays. So they're ready to go to those expos. I put down August because I think it's something we could do twice a year. And I think that if we've researched a little bit, and the other expos, wedding expos around the region, if they have a secondary one, it's in August.
Well, that's an opportunity for for some of the people we have been talking about, photographers,
Yeah,
to
it would be
have a
great.
booth
Right,
and
so let's back up a little bit.
promote.
Sure.
Just one step and kind of define what an expo would look like for us, right?
Right.
And so an expo for us, the way I'm seeing it, right, is people would be able to come in most likely for free. We really don't want to charge them, right?
Not vendors, the attendees, yes. I would say free or very
The
low
attendees
cost.
are free, right? And so then we would have vendors that would be in the basement. Those vendors would be venues, or in this case, they would be photographers, videographers, venues, catering,
Caterers.
whatever it is, wedding planners. All of those people would be set up in booths. And how many booths are we?
I'm waiting until the renovation is done.
Ballpark.
But I'm thinking 2025 booths, 10 by 10 booths.
So 10 by 10 booths.
If it's
people
only
would
booths.
walk through. And of course, any of those local people then could actually go see some of those venues that are local to us. So
And often expos
that's what an
include-
expo in my mind, right? Is that what we're thinking?
That's
okay.
how I
And
see it.
often expos include things like workshops and that you
That's
can
correct.
actually pay an extra fee to be
I would love
involved
that.
in. Sometimes they have entertainment. Often there's food involved. I've been to a lot of them. I've been hired to photograph a lot of them. So as long as we don't do any maternity
So
fairs.
on
we're
that
good.
vein, we could
Okay.
do like an outdoor expo, but we could have music and concerts and that kind of stuff to go
Sure.
with it, right?
Absolutely.
To kind of, I don't know that we would have music at a wedding. Maybe we would. Maybe
Well-
bands would want to
Oh,
come
yeah,
and play.
or a DJ, maybe.
That's the thing
Okay.
is, music is a big part of weddings for sure. And for a lot of these, types of things that,
I just wanted to define what we're thinking as an expo would be, just for us and for
Well,
people.
the other big, Christmas is a time you get proposed to, or proposals happen, and also Valentine's Day is huge. So, we might want to think about late February, but it takes people a few weeks to kind of get their brains in gear. From what I've
I was
noticed,
thinking about
people are
August.
allowing like a year almost to
Well,
plan a
is
wedding
this
these
market
days.
big enough for us, like, just in our community, big enough that we did 2 of these a year? Like, I think it is.
Well, I
think it is.
don't think it's just
I think
better. I think people will come from.
People will come, that's what I
Because
mean.
this is a place people from Fayetteville and Bentonville
Absolutely.
Yeah, they wanna come get married here.
So first one is January, February, which fits with somewhere in that Valentine
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
top range. And then the second one is an August Expo, which we need in town. We need August to
We
be,
need August to be pumped up a little.
August needs a little juice. And so this would be a great way to get people to come and who are planning fall weddings. Okay. No, I just want to give them as much feedback, because whatever we determine we think is the best use of taxpayer money, they can take this information and go put together budgets so we can get started on this stuff right away.
So do you have any idea of the dimensions down there?
Not in front of me, but I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially since we've started doing renovations. I
25
can get
just
'em.
doesn't seem like a lot to me.
You don't
for
think it
some
does?
reason.
When I think of 10, you also have to remember there has to be walkways.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, maybe not, this is my ballpark. No one's told me this is what I think.
Okay,
So
yeah.
it could be, I could be way off. I think it's probably going to be
I think
about
it's
that.
20.
Yeah.
I'm going to, if you guys don't have any other input on the wedding, I'm going to skip it down to culinary. And I'd really like your input on this one. In my head, I see this as like a taste of Eureka, almost like a showcase of all of our culinary arts, all of our restaurants, caterers. The reason why I wanted to skip down is because if we did the wedding at end of January, mid-January, somewhere like that, the wedding expo, we could market, we could advertise, come back in 2 or 3 weeks to our culinary expo where you can taste all the food from the caterers or something like that. This is the one I have the least knowledge on. I don't know if you guys have ever been to any culinary shows. I assume you have. I think Jeff has.
Well, I think James,
James would
sort of
be-
I would like
organized
to know,
the
I would like to have
taste
James
yeah,
as a-
James would
Taste
be
of
really
Eureka, he would,
He started, I think, Taste of
he did.
Eureka.
Yeah.
He'd be somebody we really need his input on
So-
culinary. He would be great for that.
In my head, I kind of think almost like a showcase. I don't know if that, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think as far as the restaurant side, I think that Taste of Eureka has always fell on a busy season. So for us restaurant people, we're so tired by the time the Taste of Eureka comes around, and Valentine's Day, that's like the kickoff of our season. So I would be careful about when you plan that, because a lot of people kind of failed and stopped participating because it was so difficult
That's
to pull
true.
off. We already don't have enough staff, and then to create more staff to do an event it's very difficult. So I would, February may be the time, but it may be like before Valentine's Day.
Yeah. It could be maybe just like an extension or a pre.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think the types of things like this that I've seen that are the most successful are always fundraisers for some organization or organizations.
That's a good idea.
I was actually going to mention that, but I didn't know where we stood on our ability to host something like that. But I would love to give back to the
But I mean,
community and have it for a
if it's
reason.
food, the food bank makes a lot of sense for people.
We used to
but-
do one in Little Rock called the Taste of Tea Street for Miss Selma's school, and the proceeds always went to a charity that usually was helping battered women and children or trying to feed people. So it kind of had that food element involved in it.
Right.
And it was always very successful.
Yeah. But that's, and you can do more than one charity. And then that charity is very interested, and they help you sell the tickets,
Yeah.
because they're going to get some money back. So they really try hard to help you sell. So that sometimes can make it more successful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What other kind of events are going on in town is the other thing to be careful about.
Yeah.
Because I know the cruise for
Mardi Gras
Gras,
starts
Yeah.
around.
they do a
Right
taste
there.
of
Yeah.
something or other.
I just really wanted to brainstorm when we think
No.
from the expo side, from the
Yeah.
venue expo side, what makes sense, and then we will have to, of
Well-
course, work around or work with other things that are happening in town.
Food is just so very important to our tourists. I mean, that is the second question usually out of their mouths when they check in. Where do you suggest that I eat? And it's usually like, well, that's a big, huge question. What do you like? What do you want?
Yep.
Those
have
kinds of
everything.
things. So to be able to point people in a direction of, hey, if you really wanted to get the full taste of Eureka,
Yeah.
there you go.
I mean, I like the idea of having something, but I completely can feel your pain. It's so hard.
Yeah.
So for us, just staffing wise, it would either have to be January or it'd have to be December. And that would be, but I think December might be kind of fun if we could do one. But any other time other than maybe if February we were snowed in, then okay, let's do it. But I mean, it's so hard.
What if you did December and roped it into like Shop Small and we did a
I like
holiday
that idea.
thing?
If you're going to do for me, if we were going to do a Taste of Eureka, which this is not my top favorite idea. If we were going to do one, I think it would be December.
Right. That would be the easiest month.
And like you said, make it a Christmas Taste of
Yeah,
Eureka.
make it a holiday thing maybe.
It'd have to be a holiday theme. That's the only way I think. But, okay, we'll go on to other ideas.
I'm going to go back up to mountain biking / outdoor. So originally, I was thinking like what we talked about, the typical expo, right? And then we started talking about it a little bit more, and I think this could be bigger than that, than just that. I think it could be an expo, sure, but almost a festival, right? Where we're highlighting our trails. Maybe we get a promoter to help us do this. I just showed you guys the ride series. Maybe they can help us out somehow with that. I know there's some other organizations in the Bentonville area that I think we could get involved in this. Now, I think it's difficult for us on the organization side, on the staff side, for us to facilitate like a race. So I think maybe first year it probably wouldn't be that. I think it would be more about Expo, we're highlighting the trails, we're highlighting outdoor adventure, things like that. Originally.
More music, I mean,
More music.
it's a festival.
You know, think more festival as opposed to race,
Band up here?
maybe.
Sure, lots of bands.
Band in the basement, band in the
Expo,
park.
vendors in the
when it is.
basement,
Yeah,
music up here.
yeah.
for
So
the
I'm
whole
thinking
event.
more along the lines of, the word I see is festival, right? Not race, festival. Originally, I thought when we should do this one during the year would be right at springtime when people are getting excited for summer activities. But I think I would prefer us do it in midsummer, and then our branding for the festival is for the mountain biking enthusiasts, come back in November and December because you can't go to Colorado and do down trail. That's something that we've talked a lot about because the trails are great here and the trails in Northwest Arkansas are great, especially in the summer, but the real enthusiasts, they're up there in Colorado and the surrounding areas, and they can't mountain bike up there in the winter months. There's too much snow.
So you're saying a June, July festival?
Yeah.
So you guys know we had Fat Tire, and Fat Tire was canceled because of COVID, and then Parks. It's a joint effort between the two of us, and it's a race. It's a mountain biking race, and without someone that has the expertise or a promoter to do a race and to really do it on a high level, it just kept coming back as a no from Parks. So we ended up scratching it for this year. We need something in that style to replace that. Or if we could still find a race promoter, then I think we could bring it back online. But at this point, this might be our best option.
So I think it would be successful in June/July, and I also think we could really advertise for them to come back in the winter months for the real mountain biking enthusiasts.
I think
So-
if you really want mountain bike people to come, what I would do, when I worked at the Long Beach Convention Center, we had a really successful sports thing called Adventure Sports. It was one of the first sports trade shows they did. Mountain biking was represented, kayaking. It was largely mountain-type things. I think that my experience with mountain bikers is they definitely have money to spend because the bikes are very expensive, and they're always looking for a better bike or a better tire or a better way to do whatever. And I know we really want them, as they come and bike here, to stay here more. I think if we want to use the basement, say for a trade show type thing, that might work. And they are fun. I mean, people come in, the vendors who come in to sell. And we could do, obviously here we could do kayaking, we could do fishing. It could be a number of things, but.
An outdoor expo would be great for us. It would really highlight all the stuff that we have.
Exactly.
I love it. I think it'd be great.
See, we used to go to a photography expo in Little Rock. Bedford Camera did that. One of the things that was the big draw, and it was, it was money. It was $200, $300 admission. It wasn't a free thing, but the place was always packed. And it was because they had keynote speakers like Scott Kelby, who's very well known in digital photography and Photoshop realms. He taught a course, and a guy who shoots nature and bird photography, he did a keynote or a speech and a presentation, and very informative. They usually, sell their books while they're there as well, of course. Those were the draws for those things, was to have some highlighted names, some big names in the community that would get up and
Yeah.
have
I love the idea of the only downside to that is our best season for photography is in October, right? But maybe this becomes if we had late leaves, we could move it into November, and that would be a great opportunity for a
they
photo
always,
expo.
I think Bedford always did theirs in
Bedford's
October.
had a huge expo every year, and I'm sure if we called them, they would be very interested. Yeah. Yeah.
So the last one, I saved this one for last because it's really going to kind of work into our next section. I was thinking like a boutique trade show, more think like market days in Dallas. I think it would do really well here. Originally I was thinking girls trip, things like that. What I actually, after brainstorming, what I actually think would work well is if we did it at the beginning of December and do a kind of like holiday shopping theme. And I think it would do really well. So we would, ask for local retailers to come in and have a booth up here. We do it, 2 or 3 days over the weekend. And moving into the next section, this holiday Q4 section. And I want to hear your guys' input about holiday and Q4 marketing. But one thing that we came up here is something that we are calling Home for the Holidays. Ron has in the past done a production, and he might be able to speak a little bit more on that, but it's a production. Up here last year, he had to film it because of COVID. But essentially, it's a show. We would like to do it over 3 weekends, starting the first weekend of December, and there would be 4 shows. So I think it's December 3rd. We have something in the odd on December 10th, so it would be December 3rd, December 9th, and then December 16th and 17th is what we're initially thinking. With that, I'd like to have this market days or holiday shopping down in the basement. There's a couple of things that go with that. What I would like to also do is essentially do a cooperative promotion with our hoteliers, if we could. Something for midweek travel during that time frame, right? And we would just advertise it all for the month of December, right? And I hope it's receptive. I hope they're receptive to it. But, it would be come to Eureka Springs for the holidays. We have this going on in the auditorium. We have this trade show going on. It can work a lot with the HOE events. In addition to that, here's a list of hoteliers that are offering midweek travel discounts, things like that. And so that's why it works well with the market days and first and second weekend of December, something like that. And that's something that I think, again, we could do multiple times a year, kind of like a trade show for retailers, possibly in the spring or summer as well.
I think a promotion that I would do personally at our place, and I would recommend others, and I know several others in town do it already, but if somebody's coming in for one of those expos or trade shows, is you get trolley tickets for the whole, event.
Yeah.
That way you can just leave your car parked at our place and take the trolley downtown. You're going to be downtown all day anyway, most likely.
Yeah,
It's a
and I think
small
we can work
incentive. It doesn't cost much. It's an easy one, but I know it's not huge, but it's something that I would do.
Well,
Hopefully they're done by 5.
Yeah, that's the,
well, one other
I wish
thing
we could
is,
get the hours extended.
we have more than just the
too.
odd basement we can sell. I mean,
Sure.
Randy's got a convention center, Crescent
Yeah.
has big rooms that, I've always felt that part of the charm of the city is being able to get on the trolley, just like you said,
Well,
and kind of get a little
Autumn
tour.
has a good point. Is there a possibility of getting in touch with those folks? I know they're federally funded, but, for special events, can we not
hard.
start trying to figure out a way to extend those hours? Because that's one of the biggest things our guests
I think we need
always
to
talk about.
maybe visit with transit and maybe even workshop with them.
Maybe add that to another workshop.
I can definitely
That's a
start
good
that
point.
conversation.
We need
I would
to
love that.
do that. We need to see what.
But it would be great if we could work that out with like our trade shows.
I know,
and stuff like that.
Andy did that when he was here.
Yeah.
I don't know that he could get them to extend their hours later. That was the problem.
Right.
But during their normal time, they could put extra, trolleys on. But that would be really cool. It's really kind of a fun thing to do, and it doesn't take very long to get from point A to point B.
Well, and if we can't, can we add to the budget on some of these, that if we're throwing them, to have some shuttle buses? Just
Or
rent them for the
lights.
weekend.
Or lights.
Oh, well, yeah.
I think we should really deck it out. I know that this has been a topic for many years, and parks as the brunt of our decoration. But I think we should hire out. I think we should hire out, I mean, our locals go to Branson for the Christmas season. Like, that's crazy. There's nowhere to even take their kids to show them Christmas lights. I mean,
Passion Play has a great light show. I mean, every year.
so we're going to send them to Passion Play?
Well,
Do you know what I'm
It's-
saying?
well-
Like our downtown is like the
we've funded
perfect.
parks every year to the
Yeah.
tune of $10,000 to $20,000 for the last maybe 5 years or more. So, I mean, they have a certain amount, and I don't know if it's in our budget this year, but we've always had a line item in our budget for more decor. So is
But I don't think
the
it's
opinion
more of
we
like-
don't have enough lighting here?
I don't think it's about purchasing even. I think it's about if we can have somebody come in and decorate and then take it down and go home. Like, I don't even think our Parks Department needs to be messy. This is not their gig.
And so where
I mean,
would,
they're
where would
doing
the
it
lights,
because we have to.
where would they be put? I mean, we're talking about the park, and then we have city buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you recommending that we put lights?
Why aren't we doing the city buildings?
Well, I think we could, if the commission so decided. But what I'm saying is that that's such a small part of downtown. So if we're going to light the park, which we already do, we're going to light City Hall, we're going to light the auditorium. What else is there?
Which we already do.
Which already has
We outline
lights.
them. But are you
And then all of
saying more
Spring
like
Street's not gonna be
storefronts?
lit?
Are you talking
I'm
about,
just
say,
meaning
storefronts?
decorate the whole stinking town.
Mm-hmm.
Get it colorful, get it decorated, get it to where
So
they
you're-
could ride the trolley and it be an experience. Instead of going like, you know, the Passion Play, great, they do a great job, not saying anything that. The train station I hear is doing something else. But I think it would be great if they could tour the whole town. I mean, we're literally like are we running out of time?
No.
I think, I just think we could do it better. I think we could do it better. I think we don't do a good job. That's where I'm at.
Are you willing to put in the work then to go find
I
them?
have put in the work.
Well-
I have literally went door to door
Yeah.
No, I
and
know you
asked
did.
our
For-
people.
For HOE, I know you did that.
I did.
Because I remember we kind of all did that together. But this commission.
We all did that together.
Well, no, all of the HOE worked, and it
Okay.
somewhat worked and
Well, y'all
somewhat
did
didn't.
a great
But all
job
of
on the
HOE,
buildings, yeah.
worked together that year, 2 years ago, to work to try to make lights happen downtown. And for whatever reason, it was either good or bad or whatever. But what I'm saying is if you want to put together a proposal and bring it to us on what you think we should do, we're here to look at it. But we've not really seen anything at this commission of what we might be able to potentially do.
Yeah. I think, I seem to remember a couple of years ago, somebody proposed something like you were saying, like hiring a company to come in.
That was me. I hired the company. I literally had somebody come in. It was literally me and the HOE team. That was it. I was the one personally went around to every single storefront and asked them to participate.
And did you guys come to the CAPC? I'm just trying to.
We did not.
Okay, I don't.
No, which
recall
I'm not, I didn't ask for the money, and I'm not saying that we should have. I'm just saying that people want to participate. It is expensive, though, so it's just hard for us to all, it's hard to get everybody together. But
hard.
I think if we had a strong leader in the CAPC, that everybody is looking to us to do something. Everybody is looking to us to make a calendar, to get us all organized, because there is nobody else. There's just nobody else.
Well, if you think we'll probably do a Christmas parade, it sounds like the train is going to
Right.
have something going on.
Which I think is better, it's awesome. I mean, it's better than we've done any other year.
Right.
And I think our Christmas has continued to grow, but I think we could do it even better. I mean, we used to pop up shop smalls all over downtown, and the streets would be filled. And, you know, I just want that back again. And I know COVID put us down a little bit, but I just think that, I think we can do it better and easier.
I think there was like maybe four or 5 years ago, I think Jacqueline hired a group to come in and do it was a special shopping weekend.
Right.
And not everybody participated, but it was actually pretty nice. And people were out in the streets and down to Basin Park at least. So
Yeah.
I'll look back and see if I can figure out.
Right, and I'm not saying we reinvent the wheel by any means. I think since COVID, we've all kind of gotten at a standstill, and now we're revamping, and now we're redoing. But I think that out of everybody here, I've kind of been here a long time. I've been there, seeing it. I've been working it. So I think that, some things don't need to be reinvented, but we need to maybe go back in history a little bit to some of the things and say, these things worked well for our town. And
So this is showing the gazebo.
this is, yeah,
Do you know where that is? What are we calling the gazebo?
I'm not even sure.
Okay.
Just curious,
Courthouse, bus station.
It's probably a gazebo in a park, if I had to guess.
Or by the,
You think maybe this is the gazebo in the park? Is that what we're thinking maybe?
And these are just things that, this just gives us a price, right? I mean, this is not, I'm not saying do all of these things, and I'm not saying do 3 of these things, but I just think that this is an opportunity to say, okay, these people can do this. Our Parks Department's already overloaded. I'm sure they don't have enough staff to even think about Christmas when it comes about. And
What do other cities, how do they manage stuff? I mean,
right?
Fayetteville has a
curious.
Fayetteville Experience. Fayetteville does a big light show on the square.
do they find sponsors? Is that how they pay for it? Is it, I mean, because we're talking CAPC tax dollars for
No, it's
earmarked for advertising. Obviously, I agree, if people don't have a reason to come to town, no point in
there's-
advertising to people to show up and nothing be here, I get it.
We're closed.
But I'm trying to understand just from a commissioner standpoint
Yeah.
of how do other towns do it, and should we be responsible for this? We've got enough to be responsible for as it is.
they usually
Who
do
else
like
would be
a
responsible
tree
for it?
lighting usually kicks it off, and they have Santa
But I
in the
mean,
park.
is it
and
a-
We've done that before.
Is it a city budget? Is it a sponsorship by companies? I mean, how do other cities do it? I would love to research it and find out the answers to that.
We could reach out to Fayetteville, Experience Fayetteville, and they would probably give us some insight. But
Obviously,
I
it'd
think
be
also,
great to do more, but I'd like to do it right, and I'd like to make sure we're spending CAPC dollars for advertising primarily. if
the
we
other
can.
thing too, like Experience Fayetteville, most of those people, I wouldn't think are overnight stayers to go look at downtown Fayetteville at Christmas lights. So I would caution us is that our commission here is to really bring people to town
That's
and hopefully get them to stay a night or two and try to get them to really spend some money. And my little bit of my concern about Christmas lights, and look, this was created in February, and here it is, we've not seen this or heard anything about it until today. And so my concern is that, yeah, would it be beneficial for us to have better Christmas lights? Yeah, I'm all for that, but we still have to, a couple of things. Are merchants going to be open? If we're promoting to bring people to downtown, who's going to be open? And how late are they going to be open? I think
You
this
mentioned-
conversation is bigger than maybe
Yeah.
just a few Christmas lights.
But
Well, I
you
think-
mentioned Branson. Who does the lights there? Is that Silver Dollar City?
Silver Dollar City.
But that's a huge, that's
Yeah,
not
but
us.
we're a huge operation here.
Well-
Don't play down the CAPC
But
funds.
what I'm saying is Silver Dollar City is a theme park. I mean, they've got their own budget. They're not taxpayer dollars. They have a different mission than we do.
I understand that.
But that's why I was
but-
kind of curious as to find out who's behind doing it. And they do have a big draw. I'd love to have a large draw.
And Lynn Berry will know.
Yeah.
kind of
and
how they run
I may
things
reach
and-
out to Hot Springs because I know that downtown Hot Springs used to do a huge, lighting of everything, but I'm pretty sure it was their CVB or it was their chamber. If you had a Chamber of Commerce or a CVB proper doing things, those are the things that people want. We bring them to town. What organization is doing stuff to entertain them while they're here? We seem to have a hole.
We we also do that. I think it's very, to me.
Well, we've taken on that role, like
Well,
Autumn said,
it would
somebody's
be-
got to do something, but
It would be similar to what we do in Basin
sucks.
but
Park.
why does it have to be us always, why does
Well,
everybody in
because you
town
do-
always
you need-
misunderstand how we use these funds? It
You do
sucks.
need to have an entertainment draw for them, and that could be something in Basin Park, and it doesn't have to be, fancy, but I'll tell you, if you want to get people to show up, hire the Bentonville band to play. Their parents will come, or the Berryville band. I mean, you could have a whole month of different bands playing before school's out, and it doesn't just have to be bands. It can be choruses and other things. Or if you have a very large church choir, that time of year, people are geared to perform, usually holiday music. And I think that's a really great way to guarantee you've got a couple hundred people anyway showing up for that event, if not more. But it would be programming, kind
Well,
of like
that's-
you do the Basin Park series, really.
I just think that this would be a great addition to what you already are doing. You're going to have people in town. Why not church up the pig and get it looking right? You know what I mean? Because when you drive downtown and there is literally every other storefront done, we've just got to look more together. You know what I mean? You're going to bring all these people here, and then we're not going to be decorated at all other than our few little things that our park does, which is beautiful. But I think we could just elevate it a little more and extend our season, just like we're all trying to do. And I think if the season was extended, it would encourage people to be open more. And that's our biggest problem, is that people, want to die off in December because we're all tired. But if the business was there, it would be worth it. It would be worth it to stay open.
I have a couple of questions, if you guys don't mind.
I would love
Yeah.
that.
Are these, is this quote for non-city property?
It appears, like, it's hard to say, but
And if it's
appears-
not, just because the first thing I go to is, can we even do that?
Yeah.
And
You
if,
would-
I don't know, we would, just to keep that in your heads, is that something we can even do?
Trust me, I dealt with this exactly when I had to go around to everybody. That you have to get permission from the building owner to do this, for sure. If you want to decorate any building downtown, you have to get permission from them.
But then, I mean, from the CAPC side, because we're tax collected dollars, I think it gets kind of iffy if
Okay.
we can
Actually
decorate
fund that.
privately owned businesses. I just want to keep that in your minds. That's something that, if you guys decide to do this, I'm going to have to research that.
And where does it end?
Which we should research this. I
Yeah,
mean,
we just-
this is just a door to open the situation, because this is something that I've already been talking about for years with people. They're wanting this, but I get it. If we can't do it and it's above and beyond our limitations, then that's that.
Sure.
I think part of the
But-
reason why it hasn't happened is because it is such a hard thing. Like, it's very difficult. It was hard for us. I remember I tried and tried and tried to get somebody to do the lights on the coffee house. It just wasn't happening, right? And then they showed up late. You remember that? They showed up late, or they didn't show up at all, and there was always excuses. So it has been very difficult. This is not easy to do, and my only concern is that with everything else that we've got, with auditorium renovations and all the other marketing stuff, is this the best use of taxpayer dollars at this point? Would it be better to try to figure out a plan and go back to parks for next year, where we actually did start in January, February with an actual plan for a Christmas lighting solution?
I think what we're all just asking is that it be talked about.
Well, we're
Not
definitely-
necessarily this week or this year, but this is something that I think a lot of people in town want. So I think that,
Well, it looks like, Lacey, I know Lacey and you were really active with the storefront stuff. So it looks like we would need somebody from the business community. CAPC's mainly lodgings and restaurants.
Yep, exactly.
And the public buildings.
well, this
And
is where we're all
parks-
at.
And parks for sure, because we don't want to have to pay for something that they can accomplish. But it sounds like it would be something greater than the CAPC. They'll need funding from us, but, you know, we should, it would be a committee of people from several different business
Factions.
perspectives. And I think the nonprofits could benefit if, you know, if we have something going on like the train or whatever, it's possible that they might benefit as well. And
Yeah.
because people are more liable. I mean, we may have a free thing in the basement, but they can bring a can of food or something as an entry fee, so.
Well, I love that idea of actually getting people that are usually the ones that are on Facebook as the naysayers to actually give them an opportunity. Well, here you go, get involved. I would love for those people to get involved because then they can quit sitting on the sidelines and start doing something.
Well, I think some of the service clubs would help.
It's easy to
The
complain.
Rotary
Get
and
involved.
other clubs, if they were asked, would do.
Exactly.
Well, Toys for Tots, I mean, that's huge during the holidays.
One of the things that maybe makes more sense to me
The bikers
is
do
that
that.
we commit,
Too, right?
for next year, we commit a certain amount of marketing to market Christmas lights, which might give the private business owners incentive to want to work together, right, to put Christmas lights on their own building.
There you go.
Because then if we said, well, we're going to spend $15,000 on marketing a Christmas Wonderland, but you have to actually buy your own lights or put them up or whatever you want to do on your private property, we would be glad to market it so people could come and see them. It might be, we might want to workshop that and bring some of the merchants and ask them if they think they could get that done.
We're the,
Does that make
That would be
sense?
an amazing first step.
Does that make sense? Then
Yeah.
we're spending money to bring people here to look at lights that are your lights on your business.
Yeah.
And the guy who has the best lights is the
I
guy who has the
agree,
best lights.
because
Right.
honestly,
That's what it's gonna be.
the last year and 2019, before COVID, we opted not to decorate except for the very minimal because we weren't seeing the traffic. And if we actually knew that we were going to get the traffic, that we were going to get the lodging, it would be worth it for me to invest as a business owner thousands of dollars to make sure
Thousands.
that we do it right.
That's what I was going to say.
did y'all do living windows? Was that part of Christmas too?
Yep, yep.
did living
They do the
windows.
Santa.
Those were really great. I thought those were deep.
Okay, so let's move on because we've already exhausted
That's a good thing to bring up.
our time here. So December 10th, I just want to, there's 2 concerts here in December already, correct? Larry's doing 2 shows, is that, or is it 1?
Yeah, so we have a,
Molly, let's hear from Molly. Step up. Would you like to sit at the table with us?
No. No, we have 2 shows, so December 10th, December 30th, December 10th, Righteous Brothers, and December 30th, ABBA.
Yes.
December 30th.
That's going to be
Yeah.
Awesome. So we do have 2 shows that we can kind of build on for shows, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to make sure we knew what those were. What else for Home for the Holidays? Do we want to talk any more about the market days?
that was, what I talked about was what I have planned.
And so.
I mean, what do you guys think about that?
Correct me if you're wrong, the market days, what market days would be is that any retailer or really anyone could have their
Marcus?
own market days. Now, this would be Christmas, and they would be able to do their own market days. And so we would be marketing market days for them, and we would also be doing it here in the auditorium.
Didn't you do that last year with Lacey? Didn't you work with her on this?
Not necessarily. The HOE has multiple events during
Yeah.
Q4. You know, they have Shop Small, they have Finish the List weekend, and things like that. This would be, that's not an event that CAPC does, those events. Now,
Because
this would be
yeah.
something that we would do ourselves.
Or in tandem with them, because they did
Yeah,
a pretty good
of
job of
course.
drawing, I think, last year.
Yeah.
Both,
Yeah.
I think there were 2 weekends that I remember one
Yeah.
specifically.
You know, they did Living Windows, you guys talked about that. That was
Right.
a success, it was
And
great.
the marketing campaign is one marketing campaign that includes all of it, which is
Yes,
what
so
makes
this,
it.
what I'm talking about, this Home for the Holidays, that would be one campaign that we do for all of the things we're talking about, the production here, the market days, you know, all of that. Hopefully, maybe something we can do in tandem with the hoteliers for discounts during the week, just to drive traffic. So that's my Q4 plan. Do you guys have anything else you guys want to talk about for that? Any questions?
The other thing is, after school's out, is just spend Christmas here. Spend the holidays, spend New Year's week here. And because I think people enjoy going away, renting a cottage or a, cabin, something like that. They do enjoy it. Let somebody else wash the dishes and cook the food. I think they like
Well,
that.
and we're getting more and more people year-round, which is good. It's still not a lot. I mean, I hate that I have to give it's probably easier to give the list of places that are open than the places that are all closed when I have guests in December.
Yeah.
But it's getting better. Every year that we've been here, there's more places I'm like, wow, they're still open in December. That's awesome. So that's good.
Well, and what you said, the store owners
That's worth
have
it.
to know we're putting some effort into this in order for them to think about staying open later, which to me is the bigger problem.
And I know they're all having issues
Yeah.
with, everybody's having issues with finding employees.
Exactly.
But that's probably the number one thing I hear from our guests is, do they have to roll up the sidewalks at 6 o'clock? I just got here, we hear this nonstop.
Well, even our restaurants, 9 o'clock is the latest you can eat,
Yeah.
and, that's rough. So, we're doing our best.
We're hearing these things because these are the things to take into consideration for the future, right? I mean,
Well, I think
if we
the-
start listening now and start making plans, we can be there for the future.
Yeah.
I would rather places open later and stay open later,
So I have some notes for weekday travel, if you guys are ready for that.
Yes.
My biggest thing was that, what we already talked about for quarter 4, but I'd like to just implement this whenever we can, is possibly a promotion with hoteliers, what we discussed. I also asked Paradise to give me any ideas they have, and these are a few that we all agree on and what we're going to start implementing when we can. We're going to extend media targeting for active boomers. So when you think of, what's the low-hanging fruit of weekday travelers, right? Probably people who are retired, but we want to do what we dub as active boomers. They're, more inclined to go outside. They're more inclined to walk around and go shopping and things like that.
So you're saying weekday or weekend?
Weekday. Sorry, did I miss? I
Yeah,
apologize.
okay.
Weekday, I apologize. And then midweek travel incentive program with partners. We are going to start leveraging summer family travel. And then this is one that I really like. Digital Nomad is the demographic that they're calling it. There are remote work promotions and packages. So those people who are working remotely, larger corporations during COVID, they moved their employees to remote work, and a lot of them are realizing it's less expensive, and so they're keeping them remote. And these people might be like those outdoor enthusiasts. We're thinking mountain bikers, we're thinking people like that, and typically they have a higher salary range. And I just love Digital Nomad. So I think they're a great
I'm
target.
upping our Wi-Fi, our internet speeds at our place to gigabit soon.
Yeah.
So, we're already at 500 megabytes a second, but we're going to be moving up to gigabit. And that's a big incentive when I have people come in during the middle of the week. They always ask,
Yep.
can I work?
Yeah.
Or is there a coffee house? I'm like, well, there's a coffee house too. There's many. And there's also, we've got great Wi-Fi. So
Yeah,
and
so-
it's something, an incentive for other places in town to make sure that their systems are up and running for that particular sect of people.
Yeah, if we want to roll out that campaign, me just brainstorming here, I'm thinking
Yeah.
even a blog where we talk about, here's why you should come to Eureka Springs if you're working remotely, and here's where you can do it at, or, whatever that may be. So I really like that idea. Do you guys have any other suggestions for midweek travel at all?
Business. Some people are going back in the office. Some people are trying to lure their employees back. And one of the things we found out during COVID is that people, when they think of Eureka, they think healthy. A lot of our, some of the larger properties have the room space so people can get together in a really beautiful setting. I still think we've really got to look at, and Kayleen and the lady, I forgot her name, in Fayetteville, could certainly help us with meeting planners. I mean,
Yeah.
I know for a fact Walmart goes over to a big, bland, ugly hotel with square rooms just to get away from the office. Why shouldn't they come here?
Yeah. That would be
So,
great.
all of those larger companies, and with people working at home, a lot of them live along the 62, 412 corridors. And I think they would maybe think about coming here, but we really have to go after them because we have not been thought of as a meeting
That's right.
place. And we've got the basement, we've got,
we have
several of
this.
the
This is
hotels
great.
have really large spaces. And again, utilizing the trolley or just,
Walking.
yeah, exactly. We've got a lot of places for them to go.
Yeah.
You use the community center, there's a lot of larger spaces. Again, when I worked in Long Beach, the Long Beach Convention Center, my boss used to say something like, 180 degrees of our business is fish, because we were right on the ocean. So instead of just going after the other 180 things, we had to figure out ways to bring people in. We had an enormous convention center with theaters, but there were trade shows and things that absolutely took up every bit of space, and we had to buy space for them in all of the hotels. So we utilized the trolleys and buses, and it was just part of what we sold. It wasn't anything particularly special. We didn't say we can do a trade show with 40,000 people. We would say we can do a trade show with 60,000 people because we had the space working with these other entities to put it there. So I think we need to think a little more globally about how many rooms we have to sell, how much convention space, and we've got to be able to show them a drawing that shows them exactly how many trade show booths they can put in. That's how they make money.
Yeah.
And really give some more thought to a lot of the spaces that we have in town. We've got several theaters that are huge. They're really big, not just us.
Yeah.
And, we could put a lot of stuff in there. And so what you do is you end up bringing in a trade show first, primarily, and that's money. A business meeting, not a lot of money. But a trade show, you make tons of money on.
Yeah.
And then they are able to supplement and have a really great business meeting.
I love that idea. It's a really good untapped market for us.
Huge. And now with, COVID kind of creeping back up, people are hesitant to get on planes. I think we're going to be especially hesitant to get on an airplane now. So why not drive over from Bentonville?
Yeah.
Drive down from Springfield?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a similar market to what we had a couple years ago.
For sure.
Well, we have to be cautious because we know that there's a lot of people predicting $6 gallon gas prices,
Exactly.
right? And so we have to be aggressive in our marketing and we have to be cautious. So why don't we turn the staff loose on these ideas and start bringing them down to possible weekends, potential more refined,
Yeah.
and you'll get it back to us.
The first step for me is to finish the small things that need to be done in the basement.
Right, the basement has to be finished.
There's a few small things, like the flooring, right? I mean, there's like patches that need to be done. There's holes.
Well, when's your to be done date? Do you
Well,
know
so
yet?
Navajo's is going to be finished in probably 3 weeks. And
Done?
so,
This month.
yep, that means paint, that means,
They're-
the walls are already built up, they're still built, they haven't started the construction on the new storage closet, but that shouldn't take them but a week. Then after that, they paint, we have those panels that go on the ceiling, there's only a few things they have left to do. Then after that, I'm probably going to use a local contractor to do some of the flooring stuff. I need to get equipment for the concession area, and that's about it. And so my goal is to be completely finished within 2 to 3 months, 60 to 90 days. So I think that means we can start booking we can for sure start booking, like, we're talking about January, February wedding expo, right? We know we're going to be finished by then. So first step is that in my head. Second step would be, and it kind of goes in tandem, is to start planning out the booths. What can we actually have if we end up doing a trade show with a band that looks a little bit different, you know, these different kind of variations. And then ordering all of the tables and tablecloths and chairs and things like that. And then after that, we should be good to go. So I think we can get all of that done in about 60 to 90 days. That's my prediction.
How about the AV for movies? Because that's, I know of two entities that would like to book something in there.
Yeah, I think Ron is on top of that. He started identifying what we need as far as AV
You're talking
equipment
about for the
goes.
screen and projector?
Screen and a projector, yeah.
Yeah, we've already started getting quotes on that. We should have some numbers and how long it's going to take to
Okay.
get them.
So-
Ron and I have been visiting. We actually did a walkthrough today. You know, you guys are aware of this back wall, right, where the elevator is. There's going to be a room, it's not built yet. There's a storage closet that's being built there. And so we've talked today about this, the screen would actually come down over top of that, and then the projector would project on that. So when you walk down these stairs, and so we're getting prices on screens that the smallest screen is a 220-inch diagonal up to 300, which puts us in the 16 to 18-foot wide screen with a projector, which should cover that pretty well down there. Should look really nice. With a couple of cameras up here, which would give them the ability to switch between cameras to get a couple of different angles and zooms to send that feed down to that projector.
Do we have security cameras here?
So
Just for safety, as far as like all these events, you know?
So,
Well, we used to, but they're gone.
so we do not currently. But I got a quote months ago for a security company to come and do those, but it didn't include the basement. And so now that we're almost finished with the basement, what I would like to do is have them come back, include the basement, because that really changes the price. That's what I want to do whenever it's
Yeah.
finished. Just add it.
Reliability.
Yeah.
Could they work in tandem, do you think? I mean, does that have to be separate from what Ron's doing?
yeah, the security
Does it?
that's a separate,
Okay.
yeah, separate video system.
Yep. But they were great whenever I got a quote from them. I mean, they were happy to come back, so.
Great.
Do you guys have anything else for me at all? Do you have any other questions or input
You figured
or
out
anything
how
like
we're
that?
going to run the food thing down there?
So I'm probably standing firm on that we won't do food ourselves. It'll be the same thing as what we have up here. We'll do drinks, non-alcoholic and alcoholic. Our liquor license just contains beer and wine. So we'll stay with that, I think,
So if
especially for right now.
someone needed catering, they'd have to hire that in?
Yes.
Okay.
And so what we'll do is I'm going to have the health department come down and tell me what needs to be put up to code downstairs.
We don't have a 3-compartment sink down there
I
currently.
don't think we do,
We need to take a walk through there. I don't remember what's down there.
but if we if someone wanted to have something that and catered food, we would have to make sure we're still equipped to be able to do that.
Got it.
So that's on my list.
All right. And my suggestion would be if we do that, that they have a contract with us, we only allow people who we've approved, and they have to carry a certain amount of insurance, probably $1 million.
Sure.
Okay.
Is that
Yep.
something that we think we want to start putting together to put out for bid?
That's a good idea.
I mean, the sooner we do that, the sooner we can have a catering company in here,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and I would say we want, again, local, shop local. Anybody who wants
Sure.
to bid on it,
was
because
gonna say,
we
do
could
we
give
have
them
any-
a list of
I
several
think there would
people.
be several that would want to.
Yeah.
You mean just for the whole year, or would this be per event, or?
Basically, yeah, if there was a wedding, you'd give a person a list, and they would
Oh, I
decide
see,
who
I
they
see.
wanted to use. So they might want
Pre-approved.
barbecue, or
They're
they might want
pre-approved. We want to make
Okay.
sure they're, first,
Yeah, yeah,
if they're legal with the city, the state,
Approved vendors.
approved,
we'd
and
give
then we would
them
approve them, make sure they have insurance. And then whoever comes in, we could give them a list of caterers and say, here's an
Yeah.
approved list. We know they're safe, we know they're approved. We probably should do that sooner than later.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
We're good.
Are we good?
We're good?
Thank you. Next meeting, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Okay. Thank you. Have they painted downstairs?
They've not painted yet.